the government is set to shut down November 1st. Now, I don't know if you noticed, because I haven't noticed that the government's been shut down, whatever the hell that means. But what it is going to affect people tremendously is going to be the fact that 40 million people, 42 million Americans are going to lose their food stamp benefits. Right? It says the U.S. government shutdown now on its 28th day threatens to cut off SNAP food benefits for 42 million Americans, including 18 million children, terrible, after federal funds deplete in October. Let me go ahead and pull this up so you can look at it with me if you're on YouTube. And if you're not, you can always follow along on YouTube. And I'll do my best to tell you what's going on here. So it says, after federal funds deplete in October without congressional action, new work requirements effective November 2nd could further disqualify recipients through paperwork demands, while expiring Affordable Care Act subsidies will double average health insurance premiums to over $1,900 annually for millions during open enrollment starting November 1st. Democratic-led states have sued the Trump administration to release emergency funds amid partisan finger-pointing in Congress. Lots going on there. Okay, first thing, so major thing, SNAP benefits, right? The food stamps, going to go away November 2nd, which would be twofold. One, interesting to see what that does to food prices, as many people have pointed out. If food stamps go away, food prices go down. That's reality, right? There's an inflated supply and demand going on right now in our country, where if you have food stamps, you are able to buy food that you otherwise wouldn't be able to buy, which is demand. And if you don't get food stamps, you're funding the people who are getting the money to go raise your prices at the grocery store. Right now, I'm not saying that we should get rid of food assistance, right? 42 million Americans is a lot, though, right? And how many of those Americans have jobs? How many of those Americans don't have jobs? How many of those Americans could have a job but don't because they get so much government subsidies, right? Government subsidized housing, government subsidized food, government subsidized insurance, government subsidized this, government subsidized that, right? So what we do know is that this raises your grocery store prices, right? So will be an interesting experiment if this happens to see how quickly that shifts the cost for you and I, who probably don't get food stamps. And if you do get food stamps, I totally empathize with you. If you are somebody who is a hardworking American who doesn't make enough money to put food on the table for your children, and also maybe for those out there who aren't, just taking advantage of this because they want to, but they need to, maybe there's a way to gain skills and knowledge that would then get you a job or a career where you could actually supply the amount of food for your household that you need to. Maybe that's a thought. Kind of crazy, I know. But nonetheless, a thing, right? Unless you're disabled, unless you're elderly, and you've ran out of your, right? There's a whole thing, like the whole economic system. I get it. Having some form of food assistance should be allowed within our government for tax dollars to be used on, right? If anything, feeding people is probably a generally net good for society. Now, whether or not those people need to get fed with a unlimited card from a same consumer store that I'm shopping at with my dollars, and whether you should be able to buy steak with that money, right? It's probably up for debate. I would say we might be better off having legitimate soup kitchens where people could go to where they don't have to, or where they don't get so much, especially in a country like ours where everything's poison and everything, there's candy, there's all this stuff out there that is likely being subsidized by your tax dollars and mine. Just saying. There's probably a better way to do that where people don't die of starvation, but also aren't able to take advantage of it and eat a bunch of Doritos on your tax dollars. Just saying. So that leads us to what's happening in the TikTok sphere, where people are saying that there's going to be riots on the street. They're calling for civil war, according to some of these videos. And they're saying they're going to loot and steal from all these grocery stores as long as this is happening, right? Let's take one example here. Here's a video by a woman on X who's saying that very thing. Let's go ahead and see if we can get it going.
So they wanted $7 for this. Mind you, I don't have food stamps anymore. They cut me off. So I only had $22 left in food stamps. So this is what I stole. Okay, they wanted $9 for this. I said, oh, I don't got $9. Then they wanted $2 for this. They wanted
Tic Tacs.
Sorry, it's all fucked up because it's been in my purse. $7 for this. I'm making some stuffed salmon today. These are needed. I'm not paying $7 for that. Okay, let me show you the most important thing to me. Short ribs. Take off the label so that you don't beep. Get your fucking meat. How many do you think that I got? How many short ribs is that? And can I be real?
Okay, pause. What she just showed you is Tic Tacs, short ribs, seasoning, stuff for her stuffed salmon. This woman is eating like she makes a six-figure salary by stealing from the grocery store because the government is going to give you or give her your tax dollars. That's what she's saying. That's what she's telling everybody else to do as we go on here and listen to the rest of this.
More y'all bitch ass niggas should have started taking shit from the motherfucking corporations a long time ago. Y'all just didn't have that shit in your motherfucking bones. Get out there and get in the motherfucking field like I told you. Everything out here is yours. Whether or not you take it, they call that shit free will. I call that shit eminent domain.
I call that stealing. Just saying. I call that a felony. That's what I call that in my world. But, you know, teach their own.
You know what I'm saying? One thing I learned from the white men, take it! Hey, now! Take it! I don't give a fuck who's already sitting there. I don't give a fuck if your land was already established. Bitch, it's mine now, and I want it. That is what we should be preaching in the land to the fucking masses. Act more like a white man.
Which is hilarious, talking about the immigration. If you go over to Paris, France, and look at the overwhelming amount of men from Africa scamming tourists who aren't legal citizens. Also just saying.
Take it for yourself, bitch, and you won't be worried about who don't got it. You see what I'm saying? Get out there and ravish. Last but not least, go in that church and infiltrate. Don't be stupid. Get in there.
Okay. So that's the type of person that we're dealing with here. And that's the type of food that they were leeching off of. That's what they would have spent your tax dollars on. So then you have others. And by the way, to be stupid enough to steal money and then, to be stupid enough to steal food, that type of food, and then also be stupid enough to post a video admitting to it on social media with your face is a new type of retarded. Just saying. Okay. Now, there's other people, other videos on here where it's getting a little even more aggressive, right? People saying that this is going to be civil war. People calling for everybody to go to the Walmart at 7:30. This is a real video. I don't have it pulled up here, but there's a real video that I saw. And they were saying everybody show up at Walmart at 7:30 on November 2nd, and we're going to steal it all together. They can't catch all of us, is what she said, right? Or this person. Not this individual, but another person on another video, right? That's what we're dealing with here. And so there was another portion of this where Grok got asked if SNAP disappeared, would grocery prices come down if all food stamps went away? Interesting question. Let's find the answer. Well, Grok says that yes, grocery prices would fall likely if SNAP vanished, as it props up demand with taxpayer funds. Removing that artificial boost reduces overall purchases, forcing retailers to compete harder on price to clear inventory. SNAP recipients represent a significant inelastic buyer base subsidized by the government, so their exit shifts the demand curve leftward, lowering the equilibrium prices despite inelastic food demand. Short-term supply adjustments might lag, but economic theory and subsidy parallels. For example, if you remove tuition with loans, right? If there's no student loans, the price of universities are going to fall because nobody's going to go to school for $70,000 per semester. So they're going to have to bring it down to something they're willing to pay for, right? You see this, right? That's why the government subsidized loans, because then the institutions make all of that money, right? And, oh, by the way, you can't remove it through bankruptcy, right? Another story for another day. But a good example of if you remove loans from tuition, nobody's going to go to school unless they lower prices, so they lower prices, right? Makes sense. Then it says that they predict net deflationary pressure on groceries. So essentially what Grok says is, yes, if food stamps go away, prices go down, right? There's a perfect, beautiful chart somewhere that shows the exact amount of food stamps going up and right along with it, the exact amount of the increases at the grocery store.